Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. For the next few episodes, I'm going to spend some time on this old system right here. This is an IBM PC 5150. It's no doubt familiar to everybody, but this one's a little different. This is something I have wanted for decades and decades, and I finally got one. This is an original PC 5150. It has 64K of memory on board, and only 48K of that works. When I got this, the power supply was missing. I had to get another power supply, had to replace a bunch of caps, had to replace a bunch of memory chips. I still have one bank of chips over here, the last 16K that's not working, so only 48K is working right now. It's got a CGA card adapter in it, and it's got an original 5153 monitor that goes with it that has seen some wear. There are no disk drives. There is no hard drive. The only noise you hear is the fan. There is no DOS. It has Cassette BASIC built into ROM. The IBM PC 5150 was probably, almost confidently I can say, there's a few I know of. The QL was one. But it's basically the only 16-bit system that came with BASIC on ROM and the ability to use a cassette recorder. This system technically is an 8-bit system on steroids because you can max it out and expand it. What I've got in here right now is just a CGA card. I've got a parallel printer adapter in here, which actually also has a bus mouse adapter, which I won't use right now. And I've got a serial port adapter in there. We're going to explore BASIC for a while. I want to show you some of the unique things that I personally didn't know that PC BASIC, which was written by Microsoft, but PC version C 1.00, the C stands for cassette, version 1, had. I didn't even know it had. We'll do the obligatory hello world. Over the next few episodes, we'll do some exploring on here. Eventually, I will plug this into a Wi-Fi modem. I'll go online with it, telnet, do some bulletin boards online. I'll access a Raspberry Pi, and via the Raspberry Pi, I'll talk to AI for a while. We're going to explore, see what this thing can do. So let's have some fun. Our first thing we're going to do is, I need to get a sip of coffee first. Let me explain my setup here because I'm kind of proud and a little embarrassed about how it's working. Capturing CGA is very, very hard, unless you want to spend a lot of money, and I don't like spending money on old stuff if I can help it. It's just the way I am. It's my hobby. It's not my life passion that I'm going to dump everything I own into. So to capture the CGA out of this, I have gone the crazy MacGyver route. First off, I have a cable coming out of the CGA card that gives me composite out. That was so you could plug it into an actual TV or composite monitor and you can do video with it. You can do games, you could do anything you wanted to with it, whatever you had the software to do. So I have composite out of the CGA card. It is then going to a composite to VGA adapter or converter box. That VGA converter box is then outputting VGA, which is very crisp and clean. And just so you know, I tried to do the straight capture of the composite and artifacts like crazy. It looked awful, so that didn't work. And I tried to run it through my Linux system. I tried to run it through my Windows 10 system, and I even tried to let me dump it into a LED screen and let me just put a camera straight on it. It looked awful. So composite out goes to a VGA adapter or VGA converter. Converts the composite out to VGA. And it's rock solid, looks really nice. Then I take that VGA and I run it through a VGA to HDMI converter. And then I take that HDMI signal, run it to a HDMI capture on my Linux system over there, which when we get into typing, you'll see the screen will pop up over here. That's it capturing the screen, and you'll see that it's very clean. So just explaining the system there. No fancy expensive stuff. That was it. And right now, you are on an iPhone. If anybody ever wants to know how to do these things dirt cheap, over the years, I've figured out how to do videoing and tech stuff dirt cheap. Anybody wants to know? Ask. So, but let's get back to here. Let's get back to BASIC on the PC. This BASIC is very interesting. It has a lot of features I didn't even know existed. So I ordered the manual. I found the manual on eBay and I ordered it. It has a lot of features I did not know existed. The fascinating thing is how it explains it. The versions of BASIC that the system came with. You have Cassette BASIC right here. You have Disk BASIC, and then you have Advanced BASIC. There's a difference between each one. Cassette BASIC basically does almost everything except for access disk. Disk BASIC lets you access the disk, access the internal clock, access the RS-232 port directly, which when we get around to doing the Wi-Fi modem, we're going to bypass that and go straight to BIOS, because BIOS does everything. Then Advanced BASIC gives you event trapping, play music, circles, graphics, all kinds of stuff, which I can't do here. So it's kind of mean that they did that, but I think the reason why they did that is it didn't all fit on the ROM. If it did, if anybody knows, can I put Advanced BASIC? Well, actually, no, I can't because it needs DOS. I was going to say, can I put it on ROM and then drop it in here, replace ROM in here? But no, it would need DOS, and I don't have DOS on here, and I don't want DOS on here. If I wanted DOS on here, I could just plug in my compact flash XT IDE card that I have, plug it in here, boot this thing straight from the DOS. Well, actually, no, I couldn't because I only have 48K memory in here. Though I do have a 60, I have a 512K. What is it? I got enough to take this up to 640K, so whatever that thing works out to be. I do have that card there. Excuse me. But I can't use that card because Bank 3 is not working. So if I can't get all 64K on board, I cannot expand past that. So eventually I got to replace those chips and chase down which one is causing the issue. But back to what we're here. Now, our reason we're here for the BASIC. And I'm just going to set this here in a nice handy paper holder that IBM came with, or that the Model F keyboard came with. Some things that was interesting I just wanted to point out in here. Things I did not know existed. When I was just leafing through this manual, it's like very fascinating. I'm going to get there. These right here. Keywords. I did not know the IBM had keywords. Or the PC BASIC or Cassette BASIC had keywords. Hold down the Alt to hit A. Types auto. B, B save. C, color. D, delete. E, else. F, for. Go to. Hex. Input. There's nothing for J. Key. Locate. Motor. Motor is interesting. That's a very unique command because motor, what it does, it turns on the cassette player. Which right now I don't have hooked up. I got to put a remote jack on here to turn the cassette player on. So it turns the cassette player on. Now, why would you want to turn the cassette player on? Well, you could do it for any reason. But you could do what we used to do with the Ataris. Well, you still can do with the Ataris. And I believe you can do it with the Commodore 64 too. But the Atari 8-bits, you could turn the cassette player on by poking a certain place in memory and the cassette player would start playing. Then you could hear the music in your TV. But you wouldn't hear the music in here, but you might be able to play it here if you want to hear music. I don't know why you'd want to turn it on, but you do have the motor command. Or you can get creative with that motor command because it's a little relay in there. Click, click, click on and off. You can get creative with that like they did with the TRS-80 systems from Radio Shack and hook that up to a speaker. And by toggling it on and off, you can get sounds. Then let's just continue on. Alt N for next, O for open, P for print. There's nothing for Q. Run, screen, then using val with XOR, and there's nothing for Y, nothing for Z. So that's kind of fascinating that it had all that. Control break. Let's just clear the screen here. This on the bottom, these are your function keys. You can turn them on by typing key off, or turn them off by typing key off, turn them on by typing key on. CLS is clear screen. Now you have a number of different modes in here. We are in screen 0 right now, which is 80 column, I believe it's just monochrome text mode. Go to screen 1. Now we are in, I'm going to look over here. Okay, I just want to make sure my HDMI capture didn't freak out on the screen change. Now we're in 40 column. Screen 2 is 80 column. But now I believe this is color mode, I believe. I have to read better. And then there is no screen 3. And back to screen 0. So that's the interesting things, the different graphics modes. Now, something else I wanted to show in here is, this is something I did not know existed. Now, if you have used the 8-bits, the Atari 8-bits and the Commodore 64, and there may have been a couple others, I'm not sure, they had a very good on-screen editor. You could just use your arrow keys, move around the screen, change text in it. Like, say, for instance, let's do some print. There, I misspelled world. Now, I could retype that again, or, as long as I'm not in numlock mode, when this thing defaults to not being in numlock mode and arrows are on, I can just arrow up, move over here, retype it. I could go up here, hit end, go to the end. I believe it's hit insert here. Insert off. It has a very good editor, which I did not know existed in this system. So let's just do our obligatory hello world. I'm going to do 20. You know what? 20. Go to. Well, no, let's use like this. Now, see, you use a question mark in there. You can use a question mark instead of print. In a lot of the systems, it remains the question mark. In Cassette BASIC, it converts it to print. IBM was very meticulous in how the system worked, and Microsoft did BASIC works the same way. Remember, IBM was a business system. They were a home computer system. This right here was, even though this was designed as a business system, IBM also believed there might be a market for home, so they wanted to design it to use it in home, even though it was too expensive for home. It's actually a really nice home computer. So what we got here is we got this. Hello world forever. If I hold down control break, it stops it. Now, what I want to do to finish out this video is I am going to save it to tape. I'm going to rewind first. I'm going to save hello. Press the pause. See, I got to get the remote hooked up here. This way I don't have to use pause. I'm going to save hello. I'm going to start recording. Oh, wrong one. I'm going to start recording so I can get past the leader. I don't think you can see this. Let's see. No, you can't see it. There's a little light on there that goes on and off when there's sound. Maybe I can show it to you. Yeah, watch. See how the sound went off? It's getting sound from the computer. And each one of them is a block it's saving. And it's all done. See, okay? I don't know if you could hear that little click, but that little click was the relay turning the tape deck off, which is, again, the remote's not hooked up, so it didn't actually turn it off. So I just cleared it from memory. And now I'm going to load. If I do load quotation mark space, it'll load the first thing it finds. So I rewound this here. I'm going to hit enter here. Oh, I'm sorry. Load quotation mark space, close quotation mark. Now it's going to listen. And the first thing it finds, it will tell me what it found, and then it will load it. I think. Let's see. Sometimes it gets finicky and I make mistakes on this thing. Up there it goes. It found it. Hello B dot found. The dot B is the extension that it adds, the basic extension. I forgot there was a leader there, and I'm thinking it didn't find it, but there was a leader I had to go through. And there we go. So there we go. Real quick drop into IBM Cassette BASIC on the 5150. A nice little system that we have here. And over here, I think you can see it. Yeah, right here. Let's just end this with, let's list this. Let me get some clean paper in here. This is my Panasonic dot matrix printer. It's probably about 5 to 6 years older than the computer itself, but it works nice, so I keep it. Did I not plug in? Don't go too far. I'm plugged in. Isn't it L-list, or maybe L-list doesn't send it? What is that? I know it does print, because if I do L-print, actually it printed yesterday. And it printed today. Okay, so L-list may not work. Is it list? There is a comma, see that comma LPT1, which is F6. Oh, okay, list LPT1. And go offline, form feed. And there we go. I printed it out right there. Oh, a little trick I learned. I got to do it again here. But when I first set this thing up a few years ago, I didn't have a ribbon for it. You take a little WD-40, you put it on the ribbon and let it soak into it. Loosens the ink right back up. Works perfectly. Again, I like to MacGyver things. I like to just slap things together, make it work. So there we have it. First episode of the IBM PC 5150 doing Cassette BASIC. As I said, we're going to go through multiple episodes here. I'm going to do a lot of things here. And I'm also going to concentrate a lot on this 5150 because I also have this right here, which is dusty. This is my very slow Android tablet. I have a Python program on a Linux system here that converts basic source code to sound. Lets me load the things into here. So I can load 30, 40K worth of sound or worth of code into this from here without having to put on cassette. And then when I load it in, I can save it to cassette too. And there we go. I hope you enjoy this. Like and subscribe. I am so close to 1,000 subscribers. Maybe by the time you see this, I will be over 1,000 subscribers, but I am so close. Once I get that 1,000 subscribers, then I work on the 4,000 watch hours, which I have done in the past. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know you exist. Have a great day.